Hey guys, KingRazzel here, and today we're going to be talking about the next game in one of PlayStation's most iconic franchises, Ratchet and Clank. Now if you guys haven't watched one of my other coming soon episodes before, then basically the goal here is to help you see one way or another if this is a game you're interested in, by giving you an overview of the story, gameplay, multiplayer, extras, and systems, before wrapping up with my overall thoughts. Ratchet and Clank will be based on the 2016 movie of the same name, as well as the PlayStation 2 game, also of the same name. The game, which has been out since 2002, seems to serve as the baseline for the story of which the new game will expand. From the trailer we've seen, you begin the game as Ratchet, who is apparently thinking of suicide, sitting hundreds of feet above the ground while lamenting his broken dreams.
I'll never be a ranger.
When all of a sudden a ship crashes not far from his location and he decides to check it out. Once Ratchet arrives on the scene, he rescues a small robot whom he dubs Clank, and they set off towards Ratchet's garage to fix him up. Along the way, Ratchet learns of how Clank is being hunted by the Blarg, and that Clank has an important mission. Once they arrive back at the garage, Clank divulges Chairman Dreck's plan to attack the Hall of Heroes, and Ratchet, seeing this as an opportunity to be the hero he's always wanted to be, offers his help. Some notable things I'd like to point out that were in the game's trailer as well as the movie trailer were that number one, Nefarious seems to be in this movie and most likely the game. If you played either of the first two Ratchet and Clank games, you'll notice that Nefarious was not in either of them and was instead introduced in the third. Also interesting about this is that Nefarious seems to be much more alien than he was shown to be in the third game before he became a robot, having green skin and sharper ears. He also appears to be working with Chairman Dreck and seems to be a developer of Dreck's robotic army. Secondly, the movie trailer shows some interesting things about the Galactic Rangers. It makes it seem that Ratchet has some sort of history with the Galactic Rangers, even before Clank shows up at his door, having tried out for them at some point. It also didn't appear that Captain Quark will be working with Chairman Dreck in this movie, and by extension the game, which is a pretty big switch up from the original game. The final change to the Galactic Rangers that I've noticed is that there are actually several of them, as opposed to them just being made up of Captain Quark, which is also pretty interesting. The final two things I'd like to bring up in relation to the story of the game comes from the PlayStation Experience gameplay trailer. First is the addition of a new character in Grimm, who is a big blue alien who seems to be a mentor to Ratchet. Second comes from a line of dialogue read by Captain Quark during the gameplay, which seems to be the game's tutorial. Quark says,
"An army of Blarg was now scouring the planet in search of Clank. The Blarg were a notoriously brutal race who just happened to have played a major role in the extinction of the Lombax race."
Now I may be wrong here, but I don't believe that the Lombax vs. Blarg had anything to do with the Lombax extinction, and instead was due to a much more convoluted Kragmite vs. Lombax situation, so I found that to be pretty interesting, especially since Dreck is a Blarg himself. From the gameplay that we've seen, Ratchet and Clank will be sticking very close to its original playstyle from the original Ratchet and Clank games. This means platforming mixed with a lot of big crazy guns, which is what the series is known for. Thus far, we've seen the Omni Wrench, the Combuster, the Warmonger, Mr. Zircon, Mrs. Zircon, the Glove of Doom, the Groovatron, the Plasma Striker, the Predator Launcher, the Fusion Bomb, the Pyrocitor, the Proton Drum, the Buzzblades, the Alpha Distributor, the Pixelator, the Sheepinator, and finally the Bouncer, which is a pre-order bonus. Aside from the guns, we've also seen a bit of hoverboarding, as well as some ship combat.
Destroy the Galactic Ranger, or I'll make sure the first person buried on our new planet is you!
Both aspects that were in the original Ratchet and Clank game, and will probably work in much the same way. We've also seen a few of the gadgets, including the Swing Shot, the Hydro Pack, the Heli Pack, the Thruster Pack, and most notably the new Jet Pack, which seems to allow for limited flight around the planet.
With that jetpack, Ratchet became the aerial scourge of 1,000 worlds. Or at least his commute got easier. Ratchet used the jetpack to fly high above hostile territory.
The final gameplay thing that I'd like to point out about the game is the Clank gameplay that was shown in Paris Games Week. It looks like Clank's missions will be getting a complete overhaul, changing up their formula significantly. If you'll remember from the original Ratchet and Clank games, Clank sections usually had Clank going through a section of a level, controlling Gadgetbots to perform specific tasks. In this new Ratchet and Clank game, however, it seems the Gadgetbots will function differently from how they have in the past. Instead of controlling them and to do your bidding like some sort of minion master, you'll use them as projectiles to solve puzzles. we've seen them used as bridges, springs, and power bots. I've seen nothing of multiplayer shown, and I've seen no announcements relating to multiplayer, so I'd have to say there will be no multiplayer in the game. For extras, I don't have too much. The movie comes out April 29th, 2016, which is a few weeks after the game, so if you're interested in that, then that's when it comes out. I'm assuming that they'll pretty much follow the same storyline, with the movie being more focused since they have to fit everything into the obviously shorter runtime. And since this is a Hollywood movie, let's take a look at some of the people that you've come to know as the voices of Ratchet and Clank universe and see if they matched up to what you thought they'd look like. Why? Well, because I found it interesting. Ratchet and Clank will be a PlayStation exclusive just as it has been since its conception. If you pre-order the game on the PS4, you'll be able to access the Bouncer weapon, which is a series familiar firearm. Also worth note, the game is only going to be $40 at launch. I'm very excited for this game. I've played all the original Ratchet and Clank games, the HD collection mind you, but still. And going back to play a new version of this classic franchise should be very fun. It looks like we're going to be heading back to many, if not all, of the same planets from the original game. And seeing them with the marked up graphical improvements is going to be awesome. Which brings me to the graphics, which are just downright beautiful in general. I don't get impressed with graphics very often, and maybe it's just having seen the original blockiness and the at times awkward animation of Ratchet and Clank that just allows me to fully appreciate the polished version. But I was very impressed with the graphics in this game. On top of that, this game is going to have one of the coolest guns I think I've ever seen in a Ratchet and Clank game, with the Pixelator, which turns villains into blocky 8-bit beings before making them explode, which is very cool. And finally, they seem to have really stepped up the story. Now, granted, it's based on the movie, so they kind of had to step up the quality of the story, but it is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out and see what exactly will differ from the original game. The only thing that really has me worried about this game is the $40 price tag. This could mean they don't have much faith in their product, but having seen what I've seen, this is still going to be a day one purchase for me because I am a pretty big fan of the franchise, and this game does look very good to me. Also, I think Puppeteer released it at a $40 price tag at launch, if memory serves me, and that was probably one of my picks for the most underappreciated games on the PS3, so the price doesn't necessarily mean much. So to wrap this up, I think the game looks very good, and I think fans of the Ratchet and Clank series will agree. If you're not a fan of the series, then you may not feel the same way that I do, but if you like platformers and think they'd be fun with big crazy guns, then you may want to check this one out when it launches. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a review on this game when it does come out, just to kind of bring this all full circle, so if that's something you'd be interested in, then make sure to stay tuned. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. The next coming soon episode that I plan on doing will be for Battleborn, which comes out on May the 5th, so the episode will go up on April the 5th, so stick around for that. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.